The Power Rangers series is aimed for a very young audience, so it is normal that the franchise changes many things to adapt it for this kind of audience. In addition to this, the style of the series is fantasy, so it is also normal that we see things out of reality. Even so, there are many things that don't make sense in the franchise, and in this video, we are going to mention some of them. This video is just for laughs and not to make a serious criticism of the franchise. We know that the things we are going to mention are done in order to have a story, because if they tried to make sense of everything, then the story would be over. Number 10. The most recent nonsensical thing that happened was in the special episode, and that is that apparently the Rangers have special lungs. When the Rangers visit Rita's palace, we can see that they don't have the suit on, which could perhaps help them breathe in space, and that palace is not an enclosed place. This means that it is not a place that has built-in oxygen or any system for humans to breathe. So, how could the Rangers breathe? The palace is an open place that is not sealed, so there is also supposed to be the lack of gravity that is on the moon, in addition to the lack of oxygen. Apparently, the Rangers are so powerful that they can breathe on the moon without the suit, and perhaps in the palace Rita has a system installed to match the Earth's gravity. Number 9. This one is a bit old, but I must mention it, and if anyone knows the real answer to this, then post it in the comments. We all know that Andrus had to destroy Zordon in order to save the universe, as with that energy many enemies were destroyed and others were transformed. What I will never understand is that destroying Zordon was very easy. Andrus only had to break the crystal of the tube, and with that he was destroyed. At some point Zordon was kidnapped by evil forces and they tried to destroy him with lava. The question is, did the villains know that if that tube exploded, they would all die? If the villains didn't know this, then it doesn't make sense that they would try to destroy it with lava. They would just break the crystal and that's it. Number 8. Something that I've always found quite funny is that the Rangers try to save people, but at the same time they destroy the whole city. Let me explain something. When the monsters appeared in the city and the Rangers called the Megazord, the battle would begin. Usually, these battles were in the center of the city and many buildings ended up destroyed. Obviously, these buildings were full of people, so the Rangers knew they were going to destroy the city, and yet they didn't try to transport the monster to another place far away from the city. Number 7. Speaking of monsters, there's something I hadn't realized until I started reading the comics, as there, we can see that this is different. Most of the monsters in the series start out being the same size as humans, and then when they start to lose the battle they transform into giant monsters. It doesn't matter how that transformation started, the important thing is that they almost always did it at the end and not from the beginning. In the comics we can see that many monsters are giants from the beginning, and the Rangers must use the Zords quickly. Number 6. Another thing I learned from the comics is that in the TV series the Rangers usually fought one monster at a time. If the main villains who created the monsters had the magic to create several at the same time, then why did they create only one? If they had created several monsters at the same time and from the beginning, they were giants, then the Rangers would have had a big problem. In one of the comics we read recently, Rita created 3 shark monsters at the same time, and it was very difficult for the Rangers to defeat them. Number 5. If we talk about creating several monsters at the same time, this leads us to the thought that the Rangers had a very big advantage, and nobody realized it. Since normally the main villains sent only one monster, then the battles were almost always 5 against 1. This obviously depended on the number of Rangers in that season. We know that sometimes they would first send unimportant warriors to give the Rangers a bit of trouble, but if we are talking about the monsters, then it was always an uneven fight. Number 4. Another thing about the monsters that never made sense is that they all know martial arts. Basically, all these monsters are experts in melee fighting, and they are very good because they can defeat several rangers at the same time. We know that each monster has special things that they can attack the rangers with, but when they start fighting, we can see that they are very good with their fists and kicks. I think there must be some secret martial arts school in space to teach all those monsters how to fight before they are sent out. Number 3. I know every season of Power Rangers is different, but we almost never got to see the Rangers have jobs, especially in the early seasons. I know this may not be that relevant to the story, but it's a normal thing that all humans must work to survive, and the Rangers apparently only live off the government. If a Ranger has a normal job, then this presents a difficult situation as every Ranger must be available at all times. Imagine a Ranger working as a chef in a restaurant and having to go out and fight some monster. The restaurant customers would be left at the table waiting for their food, or perhaps the food would arrive burnt. Number 2. Over the years we have seen that every season is different, and sometimes the Rangers are in space, sometimes on Earth, and sometimes in other dimensions. What is almost always common is that the villains are from other planets, and this is quite normal. What is not normal is that all these monsters from other planets already know how to speak the language of the Rangers. We don't know if they attend human language classes before visiting Earth so that their invasion is effective, and we can understand them. Maybe they use Google Translator to start communicating with the Rangers before starting their evil plan. Number 1. This is something they've parroted for many years, and it's obviously one of the things that makes the least sense in the entire franchise. All the monsters have enormous patience as they always wait for all the Rangers to transform to start the battle. There are some transformations that take forever, and yet the monsters patiently wait for all the Rangers to finish. This also applies to the Zords, since those machines are always hidden somewhere far away, and obviously it must take them a while to get to the battle site. Then the monsters must again wait for the Megazord to start the transformation with all the Zords, and that also takes a long time. So apparently all these monsters must be very prepared before fighting with the Power Rangers, since they must attend a university to take human language classes, extreme patience classes, and martial arts classes. Write in the comments any other nonsense you have seen in the series, like this video, and subscribe so everything makes sense in Power Rangers.